Y'all, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Miss Lalah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. She make even her speaking voice is
It's
dope.
not
It's like her speaking voice
Thank
needs
you.
a Grammy. It's not fair. Phil, since you're sitting right here, people don't know Phil used to manage me for a second, and he's also the reason why I'm signed to eOne. He believes in so many people, you know, even when others don't believe. Phil believes, and he can get you to a place where, okay, people will now start believing. So thank you so much for that. What made you just want to get into this business of music? Because it's business first.
It is a business first. I would say I've always been fascinated with the music business. As a child, I've always loved music. I was telling Layla a while ago, my first record was Prince, Let's Go Crazy. I was 4 years old, my little Fisher Price, and I just loved music. I would force my mom to go to the record store every week to buy cassettes and week after week. And then I started wondering, so this is a business, this record store, how are they making money? And just so my wheels started turning. So fast forward to when I was 12 years old, I had my first internship at a radio station back home in...
At what age?
12. So it was a radio station. Anybody from Virginia know Wowie in the building? Okay, well, that was my first internship, was at WOWI, which is still in Norfolk, Virginia. It was independently owned at the time by US Radio, now owned by iHeart. But that was my first internship. I remember calling Candy Eastman, who was the midday personality, and was like, man, like, I called the request line and said, man, I'm just so fascinated with radio.
You called at 12?
I called at 12 on the request line. Wow. And I said to Candy, I was like, I introduced myself, and I said, I would love to come down to the station and get a tour. And so she said, come on down, call the business office. It was 627-5800 was the number. My memory is still, yeah. So I called the business line. I set up an appointment to go through there, and I was just in awe of just all the different departments and how just the inner workings of radio. And it just blew me away. So at the end of the tour, I said, hey, Candy, can I come back next week? So that next week turned into next week. And that summer of '92, when I was 12, I was at Wowie.
There is no platform without a process. So
absolutely. And
we want the platform without the process.
Everybody wants to fast track it now, but and see me now and think it didn't happen overnight. That was 12 years old. That was 92. And 95 was my second internship. I'm still in high school with Arista Records. So, okay, let me tell you my hustle. This is the hustle skills right here. So I'm 15 years old and I'm reading, anybody remember Gavin magazine? There's a trade publication, Gavin. Gavin magazine did a feature on Craig Mack and Notorious B.I.G. Yes. So I was reading, I'm like, okay, this bad boy label, Arista, I want to, I'm seeing the record reps come through the station on a weekly basis, and I'm like, well, what do you do? And they're like, I'm a record rep. And I'm like, oh, this is cool, I can do this. Like, I can get, and they're like, well, kid, do this when you go to college. You take an internship. So it wasn't good enough for me. I wanted to do it now at 15. So I remember flipping through the Gavin, they had the feature on Craig and Biggie, and at the time, Bad Boy's telephone number was listed, which was Harv Pierre was the contact, and Arista's number was listed, and the gentleman named Jeff House and Lionel Ridenauer, their contacts were listed, but Arista had a 1-800 number. So the number was 1-800-6-ARISTA. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna call them, go for it, and I called, and literally, but how I got the vice president on the phone, I said, I'm calling from Wowie. And so he took the call, and fast forward, I mean, he kept taking and told me, hey, come back when you're in college, go from there. And that's probably that 6 or 7 times that I called. He was like, all right, kid, you know what? I'll give you a record. So I'm thinking it's going to be Monica, who they had at the time, TLC, Whitney Houston. It was a record from the D&D All-Stars. I'm like, even to this day, it was a song called 1-2 Passes. So it was a hip-hop record. So I was like, yo, I'll take it. I was that hungry, that eager, and wanted to be in the business. And they sent me an allotment of vinyl and cassettes. And Wowie, I took it to the PD at the time, who was KJ Holiday, rest in peace. and encouraged KJ to play it on the nighttime show. And there was a hip hop station, WMYK, which is on the 4th floor in the building, a rival station. And I went to them and said, hey, you guys are a 24-hour hip hop station. How are you not playing this song? And I'm 15, but I knew Morris Baxter and Kim Nelson Ingram, who were the PD and MD, so they started playing the record. So the next thing you know, Jeff from Arista was calling me now and said, hey, kid, I don't know what you got going on in Norfolk, but these are the only spins in the entire country that's playing this record. So from that point forward, it was like, that's how I started meeting the Notorious B.I.G., which was the first artist I had the pleasure of working with, and Faith Evans, who I later went on to do R&B Divas with, but that was where I met Faith and 112 and Carl Thomas and Usher and all these amazing artists, but I was 15.
Lady Lalah, you are Chicago born and raised. First of all, do you get here often?
I don't, not as often as I would like to. I'll be back in July to play the City Winery, I think.
Okay.
Yes, come see me. But I don't get home enough, no.
Okay. Well, you got to get home.
Yeah.
Got to get home. Of course, the legacy of whose child you are, the incomparable, matchless Donny Hathaway. Yeah? Because of that, were you ever pressured to get into music, or was this just, this is in me too?
It just was natural. I never had a pressure. I grew up here. I went to the American Conservatory of Music, which is just down the street. I started taking piano lessons when I was 2 or 3 years old. My mother's a musician. My father was a musician. My aunts and uncles were musicians. My grandparents were musicians. So there was never a day where I felt like, oh, maybe I'll try to. It just was always the natural trajectory of my life. So there was never a pressure to do it. I thought everybody's parents were musicians. I thought everybody could sing. Everybody's parents did some sort of music. Because when I was little, a lot of kids went to church. And so there were always instruments at church. And always someone's grandmother had a piano or something. Everyone had access to some sort of instrument that was made of wood and string, you know.
Yeah.
So I thought everybody could play Mary Had a Little Lamb when I was little, it seemed. Everyone could do something.
So you thought everybody was whack?
I thought
basically.
I thought everybody was a musician. So I grew up under that, you know, just feeling very normal in that.
And when I mean by everybody was whack, knowing the wake-up call that everybody was not brought up around instruments, were you ever like, man, y'all whack?
It was scary. I remember being in class and having the teacher sing to us, and some of the kids couldn't sing back, and I couldn't figure out if they could talk, why couldn't they sing? I didn't understand. I feel like, just as a side note, I feel like everyone can sing as something that we know how to do and we learn how to do inherently. Then some of us unlearn it real bad. That's what happens.
So encouraging.
That's what happens.
You could be a judge on, we can get to that later, if you ever decide to be a judge.
I would be an awful judge.
On The Voice.
I would be an awful judge.
Would you say that to somebody?
I would never. I would never discourage anybody from doing art, because if I were a kid and watching American Idol or The Voice, I might be a little bit discouraged. So I would never discourage anyone from doing art. There's somebody out there to take in what you're putting out, that energy and that vibration. So never stop if you love it.
What have been some of your favorite, I guess, musical moments or relationships, and do they continue to evolve who you are?
Absolutely. I've been so lucky. First of all, I've been so lucky. If I had to stop cold today, I couldn't complain at all. To open for Prince, to sing with Dizzy and Joe Sample, or Shaka and Stevie, and Take Six, and Herbie Hancock and Chick Corea, and Kendrick Lamar and Snoop Dogg, just to be all over the place as I have been as a musician has really informed me and continues to inform me. Yeah. So that's the kind of musician I want to be. I want to be able to do anything that I want to do.
This is good. Phil, do you have were any of your family members into music, or are you the lone one?
Cousin Layla over here is probably the closest, you know what I mean? No, I'm kidding now, but No one in my family is musically inclined, though. I'm probably the closest. And that says a lot, that I'm the closest to being,
Well, maybe not.
I'm not in good voice today, Jonathan McReynolds, but
Absolutely.
yeah.
Shout out Jonathan McReynolds. I was definitely going to introduce him too, or unless you have already been introduced, we must shout out. Yes, we do. No? Well, he doesn't want to shout out, but Jonathan McReynolds is also in the building.
What up, Jay, man?
Always supportive in Chicago. Now let's get to other processes, as far as maybe any songwriters here, artists. Lalah, as a songwriter, what is a pet peeve of yours?
First, songwriting for me, that's such a super deep art that I strive for. So I almost hesitate to call myself that, really, really. I don't know what my pet peeve as a songwriter is, but I know that the people that I gravitate toward, Stevie Wonder, John Lennon, Donny Hathaway, Joni Mitchell, Prince, those people that, there's so many, but those people that are able to tell a story and have you follow the arc of that story, but also have it so relatable. Like it's here and it's here. Does that make sense? Yeah. The people that really know how to communicate that word for me is such an art. It's really like magic to me when I see it done well, yeah.
When you see it done well.
When I see it done well, it's really like magic.
Phil, do you ever get involved in the songwriting process of your artist?
No, that y'all won't let me. So because people don't know that I actually am a credited songwriter. Well, do you know? I have
What you write on?
awards on my wall. I got awards at home. I got awards. Don't sleep.
What you do?
I got a few joints out there. Y'all can Google me. Billionaire Worldwide, administered by Sony ATV Publishing. Yeah,
What did you
co-wrote. My
add?
biggest record was probably a song I co-wrote with Bruno Mars, with Lighters. And Eminem and Royce the 5'9", The Hook. Yeah, your boy.
Let
Yours
me
truly.
find out.
Yeah, you're sleeping. Y'all tossing around the songwriter.
We didn't
That's
know.
me. That's me too.
We didn't know.
That's
See,
me too.
we won't find this on Wikipedia.
Right.
Do you think songwriting has to be a long, tedious process, moment, or is it if you got it, you got it? If you don't, what's your?
I have some songs that have come to me, the whole song in the shower, changes, melody, lyric, everything. And I have some that I've had a line for that took me months and months to write. It's interesting to me now, the phenomena is that you have these sort of writing camps. It's always interesting to see a song on a record that has like 17 writers, and not to judge it, because sometimes somebody said, don't say I, say a, and that's a writing credit. But it's an interesting process now,
Listen,
No
true
shade.
story.
No
True
shade.
story.
No shade.
I don't know.
No shade.
I know somebody who is a songwriter on Survivor, and you would never know why. I must survive. What? What? Come on. What?
See, that's a
What?
credit.
What? Come on.
That's a credit. That's a credit.
True story.
But the beautiful part of that is that anybody
Now, don't
that
y'all
wants to be
start
involved-
doing that. That ain't right.
0.5%. Like,
0.5%.
Anybody that can get involved can get involved. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
The blessing and the curse is that anyone can do it.
Yeah.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
In a way.
And it depends. We make light of like the what situation, but that actually is a popular
part of that
part of the
record.
song, actually. Who wrote To the City?
Oh, Christopher Cross?
Yeah, like somebody was like got writing credit because of like one word that
Right.
changed the dynamic of the entire
And as
song.
they should,
Yeah.
as they should. I think, back in those days, somebody would come in. Now it's clean like 24 people, So it's 24 people.
There is some truth. Now, some of the 24 people can also involve writers of the sample that you had to clear, so that adds on
And
to
that,
the.
right.
I'm trying to make this
Yeah.
better.
I love the songwriting process though. Like I've had the pleasure of being in the room with some amazing people, and to see people like Pharrell, you know, and Create and Bruno and these guys that just like make up a song about my blazer here, and it's just, you know, and that's when, like, where does it come from? And that's why I love even, like, Jonathan, for example, he's another one that can just make up a song, like,
full
off the dome.
stories.
I'm like, how do you do that? Like, but I love that process, and it's magic. But Michelle, and I got to give you props, too, because you really are a really good songwriter, too. So don't sleep on yourself, because I remember Journey to Freedom. We were in the very early stages, and you shared with me a song, was it Need Your Help? Yeah. And just a story, and I'm like, this is an amazing song, and just the story behind it. And again, that most of people don't know, on that record of Journey to Freedom that's in stores now, by the way, Michelle wrote majority, if not all of the songs. But isn't like, I mean, and it's just, but again, it's special. It's a special gift that just, man, like that. There's so many great songs, but I love your transparency on it.
Thank you. Sometimes you get scared because you think maybe what you've gone through is corny to somebody else. Like, that's my fault. Man, like, I literally made the producer turn his chair around so that he would not see me singing the words of my song. And he turned the chair back. Like, man, you've been holding this song, like, this is really good. But sometimes I think it's corny because we also get in the habit of, I know I'm moderating, but tell this one part.
Just chilling, we at the crib.
We think that lyrics have to be deep and like, I don't.
Or
we
clever.
Family. Can I say
Or
this?
super
Because this is
clever.
what I articulate at home. I don't want to feel like I have to smoke a blunt to understand what you're saying. When I mean. My posture went bad, you know. I was all sitting up and, man. So, no, seriously, now, there's a place for there's a place for all of that, but the majority of us want to be sober-minded and in a sober place to. I'm saying that to say I felt like if it wasn't deep and didn't take a person into the land of unicorns, then it wasn't hot. Why y'all laughing? Any songwriters ever felt like it had to be deep and, you know, all that, or it had to rhyme?
It has to be clever.
But yes, but even in that, you think, but clever. What was clever? Like,
You know what happens to me a lot of times, if I can share this, is sometimes as a musician, I'm not thinking about the business of music. I'm thinking about just channeling the spirit and the sound, just the tone. And I'm trying to come up with something. And then I turn on the radio and I think, which is a song that I love, but I would never, it makes me feel like, am I not hip? I think some songwriters run into listening to the radio and feeling like, well, maybe I'm not hip or I'm not clever enough. And that's that kind of stuff, when you start comparing what you do to someone else, that is the thief of your joy right there, you know, so.
But you know, I think that's part to me, and I'm not picking on gospel in any way, but R&B is sometimes guilty of, and we see it in other genres. Sometimes we cater too much to the radio side instead of just going what is truly in here. Yeah. And because that's the songs that we are still singing to this day. So when I first heard, you know, for me, my introduction to gospel was Kirk Franklin, Why We Sing. I was never like this kid that knew a lot about gospel. That was when I heard that song at Wowie, and I was like, what? I didn't know what it was. It was this gospel song on an urban station, but it just touched me in such a way. That's what music is supposed to do. And but somewhere along the way, I don't know how we got caught up in the formulas and whatever Radio 1 or iHeart or whoever, you know, it's just, to me, it just lost its luster in some cases, so.
I mean, I feel like everybody has a desire, well, I want my song played on the radio, so that's the first place you go to the radio to see what's being played. Can I A and B mine to, you know, but it reminds me of, not verbatim of anything that you, of an interview that you did, Lalah, where you were saying that you don't necessarily want to, I guess, which be like everybody else, be put in a box? How does that relate to what you do, venues you perform in, how you write, everything?
I just figured out early on that I am different, and I think that's like such a cliche thing to say, but I really recognize that as me, when I show up as me, fully, authentically me, I'm in the front of the line. Instead of showing up and waiting in line or taking a number or standing next to the one just like you in the line. So what I just try to do is show up as myself every time. There have been detours along the way. There have been times where I thought, oh, well, maybe I can sort of fit what I do into the paradigm of, or perhaps that I can sort of shift sort of what it is that I do. And I really got to a point in the last maybe only 5 or 10 years that I recognized that my niche is me, and it's okay. And while I would love to, have a Bentley and a place in Bel Air, really at the end of the day, I know we're talking about the business of music, but music is in me so deep that the business for me personally is secondary. And the music is always the first thing for me.
But we know you have to know the business.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that's where a lot of us maybe fail. We're so amazing in the music aspect of things. We're not learned in the business side of things. And then once you learn it, you get discouraged. So it's kind of like, business is, whether we like it or not, a part of it. And it's so amazing. Like with Phil, I don't know, as far as my last album, literally, I would say where I would be on the business side of things, because sometimes as artists, we want to stay creative, and it's like, no. So he's teaching us so much on the business side of things. Even in gospel, how do you decide to balance what you've learned from working in hip hop and R&B, or do you not even think about it? It is what it is. Gospel is, as far as on the label side, is business too.
I love gospel music. I try to apply the knowledge that I've learned and a lot of the relationships from mainstream and to bring it to the kingdom. And that's super. So I don't care if it's a radio, if it's television, and just trying to, think about when we premiered Say Yes. That was on Good Morning America. Yes, sir. And just trying to find those out-the-box ways. I just watched Jonathan's Revolt piece today. He's on Revolt interstitials and promos. Again, trying to find those platforms that are unique, that are not just oversaturated. Again, nothing against, the gospel radio, because I love gospel radio, but the consumers are, they're online, they're on YouTube, they go to concerts. We have to find other ways to target. It's not the same old, just go to church Sunday morning, do your A and B selection, it gets played on the radio, and I buy your song. That's not what it is.
And he is saying something that he has had to drill into me, because I'm like, well, they're not playing it on the radio. And what would you always say? We have to find
I always tell people you have to have at least 3 drivers, at least. So radio could be one of those drivers. Television could be another driver. Television could be if you have your own reality show. Is it a music video? Is it a key award show performance? Digital. We're all on this right here every day, all day. I don't care if it's texting, calling, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all of the above. You have to touch people where they are and just make it interesting and current. So I'm not afraid to do unique pairings. I mean, you've had amazing features like Lecrae and Kelly and B and Fantasia and all these amazing artists, again, bridging that gap. And that, to me, it's very important, because these people love Jesus too. And for some, again, people are like, oh, you're secular. No, they're mainstream. Because Lalah, you've done gospel collaborations as well. And my thing is, so why can't a Lalah Hathaway hop on a record with a Michelle Williams or J Mac, or just, to me, I like to rewrite the rules. So I just don't like, I like going against the system, but I like the pairings. I like Shirley Caesar's new single. We got Anthony Hamilton on the record. But Anthony loves Jesus. He loved God. You know what I mean? So my thing, again, and we've serviced records to the club. Remember, so different songs. I mean, we try a different, unique route when we're marketing and promoting our music, but I appreciate it because you have to touch the people, and it's just so many different touch points and entry points, which I don't know, I just don't like the norm. And so no slight to nobody else that's what they do, but just for us, I just try to have a younger kind of flow and just, the way we market.
Well, I mean, I've seen only, and I'm saying this because people have reached out to me in gospel music, and I think sometimes, and I'm only saying this because I want us to move forward. We cannot be stubborn. What worked 20 years ago, we didn't not working now. I mean, it's obvious. Radio is amazing. Trust me, it's amazing to get in the car and turn your radio on and hear your song. We all want that. But don't be afraid of other avenues because there are so many people that need to hear what it is that you have to hear. And if that's uploading it to SoundCloud, YouTube, and other platforms, I'm encouraging to definitely go for it. And Phil, you have also been just a champion for new school gospel artists. What experience made you care so much about being on the cutting edge of gospel music creatively and in business? Question from Jonathan, by the way.
I just look for unique artists that I feel like are going to touch and inspire the generation coming up now, because when I was a teenager, I really didn't listen to gospel. Mm-hmm. Kirk was my introduction, and second was Kim Burrell. So on the road, when I would be out with 112 and they would pick on me like, you don't know gospel? Like, you don't know commission? You don't know the whiners? And I'm like,
we're gospel bullies.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I don't. Men of Standard, they would just go, and then Faith Evans would school me on the Clarks. So that's who schooled me on all things the Clark sisters and Vanessa Bell. Faith. So again, those are my teachers. I always credit.
See, y'all be hating on R&B artists, but it was an R&B artist that hipped him to the Clark sisters.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, but but again, so I always said, because it became cool to me, like just Kirk and people, and even Kim in her own right, and I was like, man, this is a standard. This is so cool. And I'm looking at these artists, literally mainstream artists, sit around and study every riff, listen to every note, and I'm like, wow, so this is who's inspiring you, and just I'm hearing that in different circles. So I said, man, I want to be a part of creating that next generation of artists that are inspiring not only the music community, but just people worldwide. So when I first came to the label 4 years ago, and it was this project from this gentleman from Chicago, Life Music, and it was my very first project. And so Jonathan, I was the VP of marketing when I came to the label, and I was like, I was like, this is something so different, so special, and that's always kind of, for me, I don't want to do. And then even when we were talking, I knew what we set out to do was something so special and so not the norm. That's what I look for. And again, and I embrace the old school or the veterans. We have Shirley Caesar, we have Bishop Paul S. Morton, we have a lot of the vets, but for me, I think it's important, like with every genre, you have to keep moving forward. And so in R&B, you have, your well, I won't say that name, but Chris Brown and Trey Songz and, in every genre. So it's not just about the Shakas, the Patties, the Gladys, who we all love and respect, but we have the Lalah Hathaways. We have, it has to be a new generation ushered in to keep it vibrant and just current. And so that's very important to me. So even now I'm starting down the hip hop trail, so going to start more in that space as well.
My name is Peaches, and I'm
Yay.
the best. I'm just
What?
playing. I was trying to audition. Oh!
What?
See, we just made a song.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, no, because that was on Coming to America, so that's not. I didn't make that up.
10%,
That was Coming to America.
Okay.
Layla, speaking of gospel music, I definitely had the pleasure of sitting live listening to you at Donald Lawrence's recording here in Chicago. Were y'all there? And I don't even want to say any challenges, anything that you've had to go through in maybe doing a gospel song. Would you ever do a gospel album?
Sure. I probably wouldn't call it a gospel album, no. I probably would just call it a Lalah Hathaway
album.
record.
Yeah, I know, that's right.
It's interesting, Joe Sample used to say, particularly about soul music or black music, which the roots of which are in the work song, right? So that's like gospel music, which influences every music in the entire world. Music is meant to uplift. So what I try to create for people is a moment so that they can fellowship or cry or be angry or vacuum the house or barbecue or break up or make love or whatever it is they need to do. And for me, in my mind, that's all the same energy. So whether or not I'm with Take Six or Kirk Whalum or Donald or Zaccardi or Jonathan, in my mind, I'm coming from the same place energetically.
Yeah.
And that's important for me. I feel like there's so much categorization of music, particularly of black music, if I can say that. And the moment we try to break it down and put it where we feel like it should go, it devalues the whole concept. And it's such a larger proposition, really, in my mind, than any of us know. Like that you can go anywhere in the world with no words and say, and everybody understands what that means. That means something. And every time we try to break it down and fit it here and put this there and tell this one, you can't do that because that doesn't mean this from my lens, devalues it a little bit.
And Lalah, I don't know, I guess this is a cool time to say it, if anything, but you got a new single coming that I love.
Yes.
This song. It's uplifting. It's called Mirror. Right? So I just saw the cut for the video today.
Working on it.
And you perform it on Steve Harvey, which airs Tuesday. So everyone tune into the Steve Harvey talk. But this song, though, to your point, it is so uplifting. It's such a powerful song. Like, I mean, the first time I heard it, it almost brought me to tears, literally.
I felt the same.
It's one of those songs.
And I have a few of those songs that people say, is When Your Life Was Low, is that a gospel song? And I don't think that was their intent when they wrote it, but the delivery is from my spirit, and that's where I am with it. I have a lot of songs like that are not gospel songs, but people, when they call you to the church to sing Forever for Always for Love, though, that's not a gospel song. That's not even that's a breakup song. But the pastor wanted to hear it for his birthday.
He liked the melody.
I'm okay with that because I understand the energy of music, and I understand energetically that's what he wanted to hear. So I don't have a problem with the crossing.
Speaking of when you said that's a breakup song, it makes me think back to, y'all know Maxwell's Pretty Wings? And it's so pretty. I'm like, when you listen to the words or really sing the words, that's a breakup song.
Most of the real good ones are.
You to give me my pretty wings, you tell me to fly away. And we just pretty wings, just mesmerized when he be singing and he's giving you your little wings, get your little tail out of there. I was just told that amazing Donald Lawrence is here.
Lawrence.
How you
doing, sir?
You talking about songwriting.
Legend.
Oh, yeah.
How it just absolutely, it'll bless you if you let it. It will free you if you let it. I think I told him one day how I appreciate how he literally just writes the word. That's it. And sometimes, well, actually all the time, that's all we need. And the way he's able to interpret it into melody and to amazing lyrics. We thank you.
But Donald is an incredible
We salute you.
musician. He's super serious, high-level musician, though, as well. Yeah. Like, some people are able to channel the spirit and the intellect of the thing, and he's one of those people.
Yeah, he really is.
You said that, the spirit and the intellect.
That's good, Lalah.
This is amazing. We could stay on this topic. What would you like to see? Because the majority here are for gospel music, right? This is for the Gospel Music Festival. How many people in gospel music here? Oh, not that. Okay, cool beans. Any wishes for what you would like to see? Don't hold anything back of where you would like to see the genre move to.
That's a tough question. I just want people to continue to be honest and transparent in their music and their ministry. I think that's what I would like to see for me, because that resonates around the world and to me, and that ministers to me. So even I hit Donald a couple months ago in my church in Mount Zion in Nashville. They did the choir did "I Am God," and that song to me still to this day. And I hit Donald, I'm like, guess what they did in church today? I'm like, but the song I want, that was something that's so timeless and just so we're missing that now for me. So I want the honesty to return to the music and its gospel.
And y'all are reuniting later this year, right, Mr. Lawrence?
Tri-City?
Yes. Yes, sir.
If y'all follow him on Instagram, you would know it because he said it on Instagram. Miss Lalah, still staying in the genre of gospel music, are there any similarities or differences recording? I think you might have touched on it a little bit. Any differences and similarities in the singing and delivery for you? And what are your favorite things in gospel?
You mean in terms of gospel music?
Yes, ma'am.
To me, it's all the same. It is the same thing. I'm thinking about the lyric in a different way from a slightly different perspective. But it's always, for me personally, about making sure that the tone is there and that the sound is there and that I'm interpreting the story, whatever that story is, whatever that lyric is. And as a musician, I just try to step into the booth and deliver what I'm supposed to deliver. There's a little different, there's a slightly different emotional place sometimes with gospel music. Which is not something that I can really explain, but I'm sure that you all understand. But other than that, for me, it's about making sure that the sound is there. I always want to try to deliver something that people feel really good about, feel really cradled,
Phil, give me some defining moments. Give me a positive defining moment and maybe a negative defining moment, because whether you know it or not, even what's negative can really be good, too. Tell the truth now, Phil.
I would say a few defining moments instantly come to mind. Seeing Erica Campbell win the Grammy for Best Gospel Album for Help. Seeing you on the stage with your sisters at the Stellar Awards with the Say Yes moment. That was amazing. Seeing Brother Jonathan McReynolds on stage with India Ari at the Celebration of Gospel. I mean, it's so I can't pick which. Is so many great defining moments that I feel like continue to push the genre forward. And I think even DL20 here in Chicago when we were here a few years ago. I mean, that was because you did Ultimate Relationships, which is one of my favorite songs. So it's so many moments, and just to be there and be a part of it, and people like, I don't know, it's so cool.
Yeah.
So.
And what's so exciting about it, we can continue to have more of those moments. It's just people not being afraid to step out the box, because I think this is for everybody. We're not supposed to be in one anyway. So embrace your individuality and your differences. Anything negative that ever happened? Have you ever been fired from like an intern or a job? 'Cause you seem to be just a perfect employee.
I was fired from TJ Maxx as a
Why was you fired from TJ? We might can learn something.
No, we was fired. We don't want to learn from that though. I worked at TJ Maxx's like for 2 months in high school as a part of my DECA job, and I just realized then, because I worked at TJ Maxx, Foot Locker, Eckerd, Long John Silver's. I had so many crazy jobs in the midst of my internships, but I was like, this isn't for me. And so I knew that wasn't my calling. I'm not the customer service person. Yeah, no, that's not me. But as far as negative on the label side, no, I don't have any. I mean, we all have our challenges and our
I guess I would
obstacles.
say maybe a challenge. Maybe negative might be the.
I mean, it's always, to me, I just want to continue to see how we can just raise the bar. And I guess that's my ongoing challenge. So if we did GMA this time? How can we do the Today Show next time for another artist? Or how can we just continue to do we've done The View. I want to continue to raise the bar. I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to that.
Miss Lalah, what a defining moment or two for you in your career?
I have had many. This year I had a really, really beautiful one. To win a Grammy for Daddy's Song was just through the roof. That's just something I dreamt about doing that my entire life. I recorded a live album last year, which was something I wanted to do since I was 10 or 11 years old, in the same room where Daddy recorded his record. So that was, yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. So many great moments.
It's been good. I can't complain. I won't complain. It has been good.
How about you? Did you not? You had 9 weeks at the top of the radio chart
that
this
thing
year too.
You know,
number one on the Urban
9
Adult
weeks,
Radio
number
chart.
one. You know, yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah.
I think what's amazing about Lalah's story is being you and you're still here. I'm talking about longevity. And sometimes when you try to be like somebody else, I think that is something that you will regret. I'd want to be here 15, 20 years from now than to try to be like someone else and be gone with the trend a year later. So thank you for sticking to.
People say, how do you remain yourself? Who else would you remain?
Wouldn't it be easier to be yourself?
I mean, my first record came out in 1990. So, I mean, you know, I would love to be making records when I'm 80.
I think you will, if you want to.
Yeah.
I think we would definitely still want to hear.
They're going to be real slow, though.
Is your vibrato just going to get real slow? I love it. How do you feel gospel impacts social issues for Black people, HIV, AIDS, police brutality, etc.? I guess for both of you.
I can say, you know, I feel like when you say gospel music, first of all, I think of that as Black music. I don't necessarily delineate. But there was a time in history where people were singing songs about what was happening in a very melodic sort of way. Marvin and my dad and Stevie and even the protest songs like Joan Baez, there were people speaking about music in a socially conscious way. I think it's still going on. I feel like the way that we get media and disseminate it is different now, but I feel like there is as much happening, you just have to find it in a different way now. You know, it's not as easy to find on the radio. Radio is a whole different conversation altogether. But I think that there are people out there talking about what they see every day. It's just we have to find it in a different way now.
Like Ghetto Boy.
Right.
Ghetto Boy is a great example.
Right.
I don't know, Pastor Few is in the building. Where are you? You here? Awesome sauce, cool beans. How does an artist search out the right manager, Phil?
As a former manager myself, I think you have to make sure that your vision, first and foremost, is in line with your manager, because that is your voice. In a lot of cases, that's your liaison to the record company, to the talent agency, and so forth. Do your research. Check out the person. Make sure they're integral. Make sure, you know, I'm not a fan of people that represent people in the same type of artist. That's just my personal. So I wouldn't want a manager that's representing 3 other male gospel artists. If I'm a male gospel artist, that's just, unless they all kind of have their own unique space. But to me, just kind of do your homework, do your due diligence, and make sure. And it doesn't have to be someone that has only worked in gospel music. There could be an amazing urban, pop, jazz, whatever man. That's just a great manager. Because I wasn't a gospel manager. I was just a manager who worked with a variety of artists. But just make sure first and foremost that your vision and their vision is on. You're seeing eye to eye, because that's super important. So,
I would just encourage people, do music, write music, and write life, sing life. And I don't think we should worry about what we should call it or categorize it. Let the consumer do it for you. We are going to say thank you all so much for coming. And that's all I'm going to say. We hope you learned something.